I'm James Holder. Welcome to Full Court Football 24. Quite privileged to be joined by former Charlton, Ipswich Town, Millwall, Bristol City, Barnsley, Charlton Athletic, Notts County, Hibs, Crewe Alexandra, Cheltenham Town, Ebbsfleet United, Boreham Wood and Cray Wanderers star none other than Danny Haynes. What's happening, Danny?
I'm all good. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I just want to say firstly, thank you for making a bit of time for the channel. It's good to get you on. I appreciate it, mate.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
Everything's all right where you are with lockdown? It hasn't been too testing times for yourself?
No, it's been all right. Been busy, keeping myself occupied. So,
yeah.
And kids keep me occupied as well. So, you got no time to be chilling out and no rest for the wicked.
I'm glad to hear it. Now, doing my research on you, you've had quite an interesting career. Fans to Ipswich, obviously, you've got cult status to the Ipswich fans for your goal-scoring exploits against Norwich.
Canary Crusher.
Affectionately known as the Canary Crusher. Quite an interesting quite an interesting nickname. Obviously, my wife calls me the Budgie Smuggler. So great for the Canary Crusher to meet the
I don't want to ask why.
No, guess we don't go into that too much. But yeah, quite an interesting moniker, quite an interesting tag to have. Guess I just want to look back on that little period a little bit before we go into too much depth. So what was it like bursting on the scene and becoming the Canary Crusher at 18?
For me, it's surreal, isn't it? That coming from where I'm from, like them kind of stories you don't really hear many of them stories. You hear one or two, but I'm quite fortunate to be one of those stories. And growing up, obviously when I signed for Ipswich, before then I had a trial for Norwich. And they literally said no, basically. So it was either them or Crystal Palace anyway, Ipswich and Crystal Palace. But I went Norwich because I said I'll go up there and do whatever. And then from under 16s all the way to 18s to reserves and then first team, I scored every time I literally played against them. So that's why I kind of got my name. I scored at every level. So that's how I kind of built up my name. And the first season I burst onto the scene, obviously Joe Royal. I came on in the first half. I believe someone got injured in the first half at Carroll Road. And I managed to get the winner with my hand. And ever since then, I've adopted being a fan's favourite down there.
I think it's only fair that we start right back at the start of this story. So I know you was born in Peckham in South London. What was your family dynamic like growing up in Peckham?
Had a mum and a dad about. Dad obviously brought the money in. My mum prepared the household. And obviously I had an older sibling, an older brother, and a younger sister at the time. Obviously, we wasn't poor, but we wasn't rich at the same time. Do you know what I mean? So, like Christmas, like we shared a PlayStation between the three of us, and like it was hard. Obviously, my dad was the main breadwinner, and my mum kept the household, innit? So, we was kind of grateful to get what we got. But always, obviously, as kids, you look around at people in school and stuff. You're looking at people and you think, do you know what? I wish I had that. But and at the same time, we understood the graft that my dad was putting in the household. So we didn't want to put too much pressure on him. So we was kind of get what we're given. Do you know what I mean? I'm being thankful and grateful. So that's really it. So yeah.
What's your first experiences of playing football then? Would you have been playing in the cages locally? Would you have been playing on the street? Initial involvement in the game start for yourself?
Initial involvement, well, my older brother, he played for Tottenham as a youth boy. He played in Tottenham with Sol Campbell and Steve Carr at the time. And I've always kind of watched him, and he played at Haynes, where he played with Jason Roberts. I'm not too sure. Well, you must know Jason Roberts is. He came and played in the Premier a later date. So I've always had that.
Striker.
Yeah, big striker. Absolute. And he's a tank. But yeah, always wanted to play football. Growing up, supporting Liverpool, I kind of was the rebel in the family. Everyone was like Man United, Millwall. Me, I was Liverpool, so I had to be different.
Playing for a local side then? Was you playing for your school team? How did that initially?
I started playing football. I started playing football when I was 11, 12. I didn't play before then. So I think it was the first season I played for a club called Athenry Rye. It's in Peckham, Peckham Rye Park, at the back where Waverley School used to be. And there was a little setup down there. And my dad's friend at the time, he ran the club. So he went down there, big up Colin. He kind of brought me down there to say, do you know what, let's give him a chance. And that I was raw, rough around the edges. The touch was fucking horrendous. But I gave it a good go in it, and I had heart. And that's what he liked about me. He put me in the middle of the field. I had heart, wasn't scared of a tackle. And I just give him my all, really. I didn't really like people getting the best of me, so I went harder. And then within the first year of me playing at Sunday League, I got scouted by Millwall, a guy called Mick Brown. Now, Mick Brown told me I should go to Millwall, yeah? But he ended up moving from Millwall and going to Charlton, so I ended up getting a trial for Charlton. And that was at the age of 13. So done my first year at the club when I was 12, got scouted same year, and then the next year was 13, and then I went to Charlton under 13s.
What was that experience like for you, going and joining Charlton at that age and playing in their academy team or their youth teams?
It was good, man. It was fun. But when you're a kid, you don't really understand it as much. You're just there thinking that you think it's normal. But look back at it now, it's not normal. But I was quite fortunate, and believe it or not, there was 3 other players from that club that actually went on trial there. Technically, they was much better than me. One was a centre half, and one was a striker, and they was technically better than me. They should have got picked up, but it's me that they wanted. Now, I was thinking to myself, what did they see in me that they didn't see in them? Because they was much technically better than me. Like Ade at the back, he was fast. There was no one at that age group that was beating him for pace. And Ali, he just had a knack of scoring goals. And it was me just going around kicking people's ankles. But they wanted me, so I ended up going there. So looking back at it now, I was kind of blessed, and I was fortunate. I was fortunate.
How long did you spend at Charlton then before you moved to Ipswich as a youth? How long was you?
I was there from 13 to 16. So when
16.
At that time, I was doing Tuesdays and Thursdays after school. I was getting on the bus on a 321 all the way from New Cross. Getting a bus after school, going there. And I was there for 3 years to 16, and then they decided, when I was handing out scholarships, that I wasn't going to get a scholarship.
Wow.
It was me. My age group was unbelievable. Like the amount of players that came from my age group. There was me, Danny Green, Laurie Wilson, Craig Brown Barrett. There was James Walker, Miles Weston, Ali McAllister, Ishmael Dimanteniak. We had some absolute ballers. The year above me was Danny Phillips, Adam Cottrell. There was Lloyd Sam, Ozzy Sam Kofa. There was so much ballers there. Nathan Ashton, left back. There was so many good players at Charlton at the time. And I didn't get a scholarship. So that's when I ended up going on trials to various different clubs.
Is this when you would have gone on trial to Norwich then? Is this where you would have
After, yeah. I went after, yeah.
Explain to me the news that you got given when you weren't going to get a scholarship. You weren't going to get a
right. So
how did you handle
funny enough, it was before training. They told us before training. So I think on a Tuesday they had a couple of players, and then on a Thursday they had a couple of players, if I remember rightly. The day that we got released was me, Danny Green, and a couple others that got released. But I say Danny Green because we ended up linking up later on down the line at the same club. It was so weird, around the same sort of time. So we went in, obviously from school, went there. Sorry, Danny. We don't think you're good enough to go on and have a scholarship. They didn't know what position I was best at because they paid me centre half, centre midfield, right back, everywhere that I didn't play when I was older. So they didn't have a position for me, and they didn't have a slot for me. So, and in the positions that they wanted to kind of slide me in, they've already conquered. The other guys, that Sheffield Kamara, he got a scholarship. James Walker, Miles Weston, they also got a scholarship. So there's a handful that got scholarships. Laurie Wilson. So there wasn't a place for me.
You then on trial. How many clubs did you visit before you was offered a deal at Ipswich?
There was loads. I went to Charlton, Bolton, Russian Diamonds, Norwich, Ipswich, Palace, Stevenage, was it Notts County on Northampton? Yeah, those were the clubs. So I went to a handful of clubs. There was a handful of clubs I went to.
So you must have dealt with a lot of disappointment before you finally got like a scholarship at Ipswich. You must have literally felt like the world was caving in on you before you got that sort of deal.
Yeah. When I went to Bolton, I had one game up there. I had training all week. I stayed up there. And within the first week, the first game, they said, no, wasn't good enough. Then I went to Norwich, wasn't good enough. Russian and Diamonds offered me a scholarship and the pro. Crystal Palace offered me something. Ipswich offered me something. So it was a toss-up between Palace and Ipswich.
Talk to me about the decision to join Ipswich as a youth player. What was the logic behind that?
Right, so I'm not too sure if you're familiar. I've done a story about it on my Instagram. I've done a little 8-minute video. So basically, when I got released from Charlton, I didn't know what I was going to do. Hanging about with my friends and stuff, and obviously at the time I was going through Charles and this, that, and the third. So I had deals on the table. I had Charlton, and I had Palace, and Ipswich. And I was hanging about with my friends up in Nunhead area. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with Peckham. So I was with my mates outside the shop, messing about. One of the boys in my year just turned 16, got his moped license, and started getting and brought his moped around. So we've gone around the shop and that. Got to see this moped. Everyone's busting joke, cracking joke. We're in the mind. We're still in school. We're going through our GCSEs now. Or just finished our GCSE, sorry. We just finished our GCSE, so I was hanging about. And then I was with my friend, yeah? And basically, he had an altercation with somebody in the area. So he's knocked out their 2 front teeth. I found out later on down the line. He knocked out the 2 front teeth and they wanted revenge on my friend. So they've come round the corner, asked who he was, like, shouted his name, like, who's John? We're looking at each other like, what's going on here? So we're looking at each other thinking, hold on, but there's like 4 of us, one of him. Like, why are we moving like this? Next thing you know, 10 people has come around the corner and started attacking my friend John, yeah? So 2 other people, the one with the moped and another guy, they've legged it, they've gone. So it's just me and John now. We're just there. So they're beating up John now. When they're beating up John, I'm trying to cover John, like trying to get some of the beatings for a minute because I thought it was mad. It was a mad situation. So I'm trying to hold him because I was going for him. And then one of the guys had a gun and he's pointed it in my face. And he said, move. But I'm enraged now. And I've told him, pull it. But as I've said, pull it, yeah, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what the hell did I just say? Then tears started going down my face. I'll be real. Tears going down my face. It's not even because I was scared. It's more the frustration that I couldn't do anything to him. And whilst that's happened, Nathan's on the floor now. They're doing whatever they're doing to Nathan. Yeah, I'm going to say it, Nathan. His name's Nathan. He's not John. It's Nathan. Yeah. So they've gone now. nothing up there, no stabbings, no shootings happen. So he's on the floor. So I picked him up and a fireman carried him back to his house. So when I taken him back to his house, his mum and brothers was asking, "Oh, what's going on? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And we've told him what's going on. And then I've run home. In my mind, I was thinking, oh my God, it could go one or two ways. I could stay in London and Cypher Palace, where all this drama could potentially occur again, wrong place at the wrong time. Or I can take myself out of the situation and sign with Ipswich. So I said, you know what? If I really want a career, if I really want to pursue what I'm going to pursue, I've got to come out of there. So I'm in Ipswich. And it was easy. Not only that, Ipswich made me feel, Ipswich is a family club. They made me feel like I was one of theirs already before I even signed the contract. Do you know what I mean? So it was an easy decision, but that for me was the turning point. I said, you know what, I've got to get out of here because I don't want to get involved in all of this stuff.
Who was the manager when you signed for Ipswich initially? Was it Joe Royal?
Yeah, it was Joe Royal. Good man.
How did you get on initially with Joe Royal?
Like, I could have... Obviously, I'm a kid. So when I'm looking at him, I'm looking at him as like my father's age, isn't it? So he's like a dad kind of thing, but he just made me feel so welcome when I first broke into the first team. He didn't put no pressure on me whatsoever. Like, he was a good man. He was a good man. He made me feel welcome. He put his arm around me, tapped me on my shoulder, told you just go out there, enjoy yourself. He never actually put no pressure on me. It was only the players that put pressure on me because we had some strong characters at the time there. We had some big characters. But Joe, he was proper, man.
So you signed with a youth team. You're then scoring goals at every level coming through the ranks. How long did you then got offered a professional contract by Ipswich?
So the first year at Ipswich, we ended up winning the Youth Cup. The second year, I could have took part, in another Youth Cup. And I remember it like it was yesterday, And we had Liverpool in the Youth Cup. But the week before, I see the team sheet and I see my name right at the bottom of the team sheet, 29, Danny Haynes. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what's going to go on? Am I going to play Youth Cup? Am I not? So I didn't end up playing in the Youth Cup. I've always wanted to play at Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool's my club. So I'm thinking, yes, get to play at Anfield. Didn't play at Anfield. Southampton away, here you go. So I went to Southampton. And I don't even think I was in the squad. I was in the squad, but I don't think I didn't come on. Whatever reason, I didn't play. And then, that was an experience in itself. So I didn't play at Anfield and I didn't make my debut that same weekend. So I was kind of gutted still, but it was an experience. It was an experience.
A lot of professional players say how special it is playing in the FA Youth Cup. You managed to win that trophy at Ipswich, which is a massive achievement. I mean, you beat Southampton in the final as well. I had a team, Gareth Bale, Theo Walcott, amongst some absolute other ballers in the squad.
Gareth Bale was actually on the bench that day.
Really?
Yeah, Gareth Bale was on the bench. It was Theo. You got Theo Walcott on one wing, and then you got Nathan Dyer on the other wing, just pure pace. But our team was, the togetherness was ridiculous. We had some good footballers. We had some good footballers in our youth team. It was fun, man. I remember like it was yesterday. Edward Upson got the winner.
Who was in that youth team? Who went on to have good careers on that Ipswich youth team with you?
Billy Clark, Liam Trotter, myself, Shane Supple. Yeah, Shane Supple, he was a wicked goalkeeper. I think he cut his career short, man, too short. I feel like he cut his career short. Owen Garvin ended up playing in the Prem, Crystal Palace. We had some good ballers, man. We had some ballers. James Krause, Michael Sinnott. We had some ballers. Aidan Collins. Wow. Chris Casement, Sammy Moore, Blair Hammond, Daryl Knights. Darren Natch was another good baller. He was ballers. Him and Billy Clark made the main two strikers in my youth team.
Tell me about making your professional debut against Leeds United. Massive thing to be included in the squad. Did you know you were going to get on that day? Was it something that
No.
you were spoken to about?
I knew once I was on the bench, there was a possibility of me getting on. I had a feeling, you know, when you get a gut feeling that today's the day. Ellen Road, 30,000 people, 29,000 people. It was ridiculous. And their fans were brutal. Their fans were absolutely crazy. When I went on the field, I think my first run I got in behind and it went out for a goal kick. And I think me and the player got tripped up. And I just remember just getting up and looking at the crowd and they were just giving me abuse. They was shouting all abuse. But remember, I've never witnessed this. Anyone that's tried to give me abuse, that in London, it's only means one thing: we're gonna fight, have a tear up. But in that environment, it's like, oh my God, they're shouting abuse at me and they don't even know me. I just find it weird. It just freaked me out. But I just smiled and just carried on jogging. It's like, oh my God, I'm actually here playing my first professional game. I just blanked it out. I just blocked it out. I was excited.
How are you handling the attention that goes with being a professional footballer? Bearing in mind you've come from a different environment you are in Ipswich. How was you handling that transition as a young man? How was you handling that freedom and everything that went around with being in Ipswich?
How did I handle the pressure? I feel like I was misunderstood a lot of the time. Because when I was playing, I just felt like everyone had this thing when you're a professional footballer now, that you are automatically a role model. Bearing in mind, I made my debut at the age of 18. I'm still a child. And the pressure that comes with being a child, but you're in the public eye now, they bombard you with all this pressure that you should be a saint, you should stay at home, read books, go training, go home, eat the right food. I'm 18. I've just left my mum's house, but we had things, but we didn't have a lot. So when I'm getting the money and I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm having a blast. So all this pressure that you're trying to put on me, just let me be me. Just let me be me. And I just thought that he got misinterpreted in the wrong way. He's a London boy, black London boy, got an attitude problem, got a chip in his shoulder. I didn't have no chip in my shoulder. I just live life. But they just didn't understand that. A lot of people misread my facial expressions and my body posture. Now, where I'm from, I wear my heart on my sleeve. If I go into something, I'm going with full intention in what I'm going to do. I can come in from having a bad game, I've been miserable all day. But to people that don't know me and didn't take time to understand me, thought that I had an attitude problem, when that wasn't the case. I was misunderstood. That's what I mean by I was misunderstood. I didn't have an attitude problem. I was just peed off that we lost and I had a bad game or I didn't score. Do you know what I mean? But people just took it in the wrong way. So I just feel that with the pressure, I just feel that people should allow some error when it comes to like young teenagers, because they're still growing. They're coming at the developing being a man. You don't just automatically turn 18. Yeah, you're a man now because you're playing a man's sport. Yeah, you handle yourself correctly, but you've got what people fail to realize is kids make mistakes, children make mistakes. It's a part of life. So don't crucify them for it and hang them out to dry and ruin their career over it. So,
who was the big characters in the Ipswich dressing room when you're first breaking into the team?
Jimmy Jordan, he sticks out by a country mile for me. Jimmy Jordan, captain of the club, Irish, loud, love football, on to everyone, punctuality, it was on everything. You couldn't slip up with Jimmy Jordan. You would know about it. you will have his mouth in your ears. Jim Jordan was number one. Darren Bent, he's another one. He kind of took me under his wing. He properly looked after me, Darren. Fami Warmouth was another one. Kevin Horlock, Darren Curry, Richard Naylor. He's another one that I respect highly, Richard Naylor. Very humble, down to earth, but he was hard as nails. Jason DeVos, he was another solid centre half. Canadian, big, good presence, lovely guy. Bloody hell, Shefki Kuchi, Flying Finn. He was wicked. He's good guy. Nice, friendly guy as well. There's too many. I'll probably miss some out. There's too many to mention, but there's the characters. Obviously, when I broke into the first, and they really made me feel welcome. All them people that I just mentioned.
One of the moments that cemented your legacy as a club legend at Ipswich was your last-minute winner against Norwich City. Massive achievement. This making it so you've scored against Norwich at every level of your career. Talk to me about that day. Talk to me about that moment.
Well, subconsciously, in my mind, I never really had it in my head that I was going to score. I never had it in my head. It's only when I scored that day that I had it in my head for the rest of the time I played Norwich, because I scored at every level. I remember I came off the bench and I got taken off in the same game because I got injured. When I scored that goal, I put my head on it. It was like the last 3 minutes of the game. I think it was the 87th minute, 86th minute, something like that. I've put my head down. I've tried to go head it, but I know Doherty's foot was right in my face, and I thought, you know what, I'm going for it. I've got to get this goal. I've got to get it last minute, live on Sky. I've got to get it. And it come off my hand. I didn't even know it come off my hand. It's only because I watched the replay, I realised it actually come off my hand, but I actually thought it come off my head. And then from that day on, they're saying the hand of God, Canary Crusher Haynes. I had all the names, Budgie BR. I've had every name. I even had cardboard cut in the town centre. I had big proper 5'11" size cardboard cuts of me in the town. It was ridiculous. Like, my partner at the time, she worked in a bar, so always after the game, used to go into the bar, but the Ipswich fans used to be in there. They picked me up, started throwing me around this bar, trying to get me drink. I didn't drink. It was absolute madness.
See, that season, are you now getting more starts, or most of your appearances coming?
You know what I did at Ipswich? Yeah, as weird as it may seem, I didn't get that many starts. It was all coming off the bench. Most of my goals that I got was coming off the bench. And everyone was saying, "Oh, he's another Solskjaer," and I kind of hated that. I hated that tag that he gave me, that he's only a bench player. I hated it with a passion. But then I started getting regular starts. I did start getting regular starts under Jim Jordan. He was giving me regular starts. And then I ended up getting called up for England in the 19s.
That's a massive achievement to be included in that squad.
We had some players in there.
Who else was in there with you?
Bloody hell. Sturridge, he was in it. Michael Mancian, Fabrice Mwamba, Scott Goldborn. There's a centre midfielder for Man City. It's Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson, centre midfielder.
Yeah.
Baller, absolute feet. We had some good ballers. Hogan Ephraim. Jack Hobbs, centre half, Notts County. No, not Forest, sorry. There's too many to mention. There was loads. James Vaughan. How can I forget James Vaughan? James Vaughan was at Everton at the time.
You had a really good game against Poland as well for England under 19.
Yeah, I did. I had a few ones. I had Turkey as well. Done all right against Turkey. I missed the pen against Holland. That was frustrating. I missed the penalty against Holland. I remember that. That was at Coventry's ground.
What's it like when you go away with the lads? Bearing in mind that you are amongst the best young talent in the country, different clubs. Is it a bit clicky? Is it a bit clicky amongst the players? Do the London boys stay with the London boys, etc.?
No, it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was like that, to be honest. Everyone's together. It was a good crack, innit? Like when we ended up meeting up and stuff, it was good. It was all right. Yeah, it wasn't clicky. Everyone kind of knew each other. When I first went, it was like, oh, who's the new? Well, everyone knew who I was, but everyone was at Premiership clubs, so it was kind of weird for me to go in there and I was at a Championship club. I was like the mouse in the room kind of thing.
Some big players as well. Must have been a good experience for yourself and giving yourself that little bit of profile as well, I guess. Playing against them, playing alongside all these big names.
It did. Playing with them, they just showed me that there is levels to this football thing. Like Daniel Sturridge, I'm saying this now with my chest. Like his feet were so fast, like you couldn't keep up. If you got hold of Daniel Sturridge, I'd be surprised. In training, he was the sharpest player I've ever trained with. Like he was so sharp. Like his feet were ridiculous.
You also scored an important brace against Norwich City to cement your legacy as the Canary crusher. You must have gone mad after that, bearing in mind you're only 18 as well.
Coming off the bench last 15 minutes. Wow. That was, I think, them 2 goals there was like, I think that is the thing that gave me the legendary status. Yeah, I scored hand of God at Carrow Road, but I think that was the one. I came on, it was 1-1 again. What was it? Yeah, it was 1-1 again. And I came on and scored 2 to make it 3-1. And that was, well, I don't know what to say after that. The rest is history. One with my head and one with my right foot. The second one was my best one now. Like, he just hit both posts and gone in. It was that day was the day I thought, oh my God, this is me now. This is me.
Scored against Colchester as well that season, another rival. You like the big games for Ipswich. You seem to thrive on them occasions.
Yeah, I've always had a thing for big games. I always have. Yeah, I remember that was in a cup. I believe that was in a cup game. I believe that was because I think Colchester was in League One at the time. I was in Championship. I think Jamie Peters set me up. Yeah, I remember asking yesterday. He took the ball off Jamie Guy and set me up. But yeah, I did love the big games. I love the derby game. I always loved the derby game.
See, after your Solskjaer-esque performances as a young 18-year-old, are you now starting to establish yourself? Are you now starting to get a solid run in the team? Or were you still being used as an impact player?
That season that I scored the brace, that was one of my best seasons I had with Town. The season after that, I ended up playing 8 games or something silly like that. The year that Roy Keane came and took in charge the last 5 games. So I think Jim Jordan did recruit a lot more players like Jonathan Waters, Giovanni Dos Santos, Ivan Campo. He brought in a lot more players, so it was harder for me to get into the first team again. And I think I only played 8 games that year.
Giovanni Dos Santos obviously came from Tottenham Hotspur. Huge reputation.
Big baller.
What was he like, and how did he apply himself when you were there?
Do you know what? I only saw him in training in my games. Like after training in games, he'll go back down to London. He had a driver that used to pick him up from London and take him to training every morning. So we didn't really see him that much. You just got his stuff and just went. Like, it was ridiculous. He was getting driven in every day without fail. So I didn't really speak much with Gio, but he come across as a humble, quiet lad. It was all right. It was good stuff. Ivan Campo, I've got a lot of time for Ivan Campo. Big character. Yeah. And Jonathan Waters, to be fair, they're 2 big characters and they love the banter. Gavin Williams, he was banter central. He was the one that had the dressing room clicking. Yeah, he had it pumping. I say Gavin Williams. He was proper.
What was Roy Keane like? How did you interact with him? What was your experiences
He
like?
was all right. Roy Keane was all right. I ain't got nothing bad to say about Roy Keane because I wasn't with him for that long to get what people portray him to be. I never received that, so I can't then talk on something that I never received. But what he did say to me when he came in, he brought me aside and said, "Look, you got a number of clubs here that are after you. You can go over talks with these clubs. You're more than welcome to. If you don't want, if none of them clubs suit you, you're more than welcome to stay here and work for your place," which I respected. He didn't say, "No, you're out of my plans straight away." He didn't say, give me none of that. He just gave me the option. He gave me the option, and at that time, I felt like I needed a fresh start. I needed a new beginning because the season before that I had 8 games. I really wanted to starting games, and I knew Roy Keane was going to come in and bring his own players. He was always going to do that because the group of players that he had wasn't his players. So I always knew that if I stayed, there's a possibility that I might not play on even getting on the bench. So I needed to go somewhere for me to get regular games and start starting games. So that's when I made that decision to go to Bristol City.
Gary Johnson came in and Bristol City. Undisclosed fee, so I'm guessing they paid some decent money for yourself. Whenever that's said or brought up, never know quite what's going on. But I'm guessing it was.
Yeah.
How did you find Gary Johnson initially and everything that went around the move?
He was good. He was good, man. He gave me a sense of life, to be honest. Because at that point, playing 8 games the season before, and then him bringing me in, saying that he's going to make me his number 1 striker, me and Nicky Maynard. I just thought, look, he showed me interest. I liked what he had to say. I liked the owner, Steve Lansdowne, going like a house on fire. Like from moment 1, he kept it 100 with me, and I never looked back, to be honest.
You hit the ground running. Did you hit the ground running for Bristol City?
Yeah, straight away. First game of the season. First, me and Nicky Maynard. I think I played 30-odd games that year. I think 30-odd games with me and Nicky Maynard, but Nicky Maynard was the one that got all the goals. Yeah, he was a natural goal scorer. I was more of a winger when I was at Charlton, at Ipswich. So him put me up front was a whole new experience, innit? So, but me and Nicky Maynard worked well.
Yeah. Is it difficult when you're playing with a partner that's scoring a lot of goals and your output levels are not as high as his, but you're putting in as much work? Maybe is that a difficult dynamic in the partnership?
No, because I knew what I brought to the table would benefit him and benefit the team. So in that sense, no. But would I like to get more goals? Of course, everyone likes to score goals, but at the same time, you're not just doing it for you; you're doing it for your team. So I've never been a selfish person. It's only when I got older and I start seeing certain things why I had to be more selfish in the decisions I made. But when I went to Bristol, I was just happy to be playing and starting. I was just happy to just play football.
I think you matured as a man a lot in Bristol. Do you think that you grew as a person off the field?
Yeah, I did, because I had my daughter, and that kind of slowed me down a bit. Still learning stuff at that age, but it did. Yeah, I felt more of a man when I was at Bristol. Yeah.
Who was the big characters in the Bristol City dressing room? Who was in charge of what was going on amongst the lads and getting amongst it?
Lewis Carey, Mr. Bristol, we call him. Born and bred Bristol to the day that he dies. He bleeds red. Lewis Carey was the main one. Leon Fontaine. Nicky Maynard was quiet, liked to banter though. Marvin in it. Jamal Campbell-Rice. Big characters. Paul Hartley, I'll say, was the one that pulled us together. Paul Hartley, centre midfielder. Passing was next to none. Big character. Very, very big character.
Yeah, we've had the pleasure of having Jamal Campbell-Rice on the channel. Great fella. enjoyed listening to some of his stories. Man. Really nice, man.
No, he has got some stories, to be fair. He loves clothes, that guy. Loves clothes. Like, he has got some clothes, but I'll give it to him, boy. He does.
Was you a player? Was you sort of into going out of the nightlife scene of being a footballer?
Nah.
How was your sort of downtime away from football spent?
I was mainly going home, London, just going back to mum, dad, siblings, friends. I was never really one to be on the club scene like that. Like, there's been a few nights, like Christmas dues, where I just didn't turn up. Yeah, I wasn't really one to. I wasn't really one to going out all the time. It wasn't really my thing.
Did you enjoy your tenure there, and how does it rank with your experiences as a football club?
Beautiful town, beautiful club. I felt like we should have achieved much more than what we did with the players that we had at the time. We got David James in. He was another big character. He came on the second season. I think we underachieved as a club at that time when I was there. We should have got at least be attacking the playoff mark, but we always got short.
David James, no doubt, in the twilight years of his career, how was JMO? How was he with you guys, and how did he fit in with the lads?
You know what, David James, yeah, I love him to bits, but he's mad. He's a nutter. He's not right. He's mad. Like, he would do some mad stuff. Like, he had this motor that used to come in, bright purple motor. He just didn't give a shit. It was a Vauxhall. It was a Vauxhall. It was an estate, but it was an old one. But it was all purple rims. I'm thinking, what? Like, what are you doing now? But he had another motor, but he would just come in that, just ban on that. He was mad. More time he driv that than he driv his other BMW. He had a BMW as well. But more time he was in the Vauxhall Vectra estate. He was in that, souped up to the brim like a boy racer. It was fun. It was funny, but good character. Like, after training, we would always go to, there was a Caribbean shop that we used to go to, so we used to go down there, eat food. But he was a proper good character, though. Good guy, man.
Some career, the longevity of the man. I think he's
definitely
appearances of any goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's been around. He knows what he's talking about.
This takes us into your time with Barnsley. Can you talk to me about the move, the decision to transfer to Barnsley, and everything that went around that process?
So the year that Gary Johnson, I think it was the last game of the season against Derby County, I pulled my thigh muscle off the bone, and I was in for a whole summer with this injury, and it never got any better. So when they got rid of Gary, Steve Cottrell came in, but he was only in for a matter of weeks, and then he left, and then Keith Millen took over the system. So I was basically playing catch up, and I was playing here and there. And again, out of favour, I wasn't one to wait about to see if I'm playing or not. January come, I need to move. I want to go now. So I ended up going to Barnsley under Mark Robbins. Mark Robbins is a good guy, man. He took me to Barnsley, striker. So I met Marlon Harewood and I met a few other, Andy Gray, player, good professional, fitness freak. Every day you go on a bike for a good 45 to an hour before training. But yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a good move. Just the town was a bit backwards, a bit slow. I think I've been in the town centre all of two times. I've been in the town centre, and that was to grab some toiletries. Other than that, you would never catch me in that town centre. It was so backwards. I felt like I was in Emmerdale. It was so backwards. Like,
what way? Like, what do you mean?
It was just everything was just slow. There was no urgency about people. Everyone was strolling about. It looked like the Walking Dead. There was no excitement there. Like people just looked weird. It looked weird. So I said, you know what? I'm not even moving into Barnsley. I'm going to Sheffield. So I lived in Sheffield. I said, nah, I wasn't moving there. No way.
I've spent a lot of time in Sheffield. It always rains. Always rains in Sheffield. I don't think I've
You
been.
find?
I don't think I've been there a day. It's not rained. I don't know what Barnsley's.
Nah.
Apologies to the
You
people.
probably went in. Nah, Barnsley was all right. Sheffield was all right. And Leeds was all right. I was mainly in Leeds most of the time with Kieran Trippier and Butts. But
Were you straight into the team at Barnsley? How did that play out?
yeah, straight into the team. I think on my debut I scored 2, I believe. Yeah, I think I scored 2 on my debut. So I hit the ground running straight away. Got in. So I think I scored 7 on the back of going from January to summer. I think I scored 7. So I had a decent little run. And then in the summer, he decided he's going to tell me he's leaving. My agent spoke to him when I was leaving Bristol. My agent spoke to him, and he had a good relationship with Mark Robbins. And he spoke to him. He said, "Yeah, get him down there." And then he just brought another confidence in me as well. He's another manager that I could say brought confidence in me. So when I've gone there, like me and him never had an argument, never had a disagreement, nothing like that. We just love football, and we was both trying to achieve the same things, which is obviously trying to get promoted. Summer came, and before the last game of the season, he said he was going to leave. I think he called me and said he's looking to leave. So in my head, I'm racking my brain out. Who are we going to get as a manager now? That I've just came here. I'm on a 3-year deal. Who's coming in? Who's coming in? So I was thinking to myself, wow. So you've just got me here and you just left me, just abandoned ship. So in my head's spinning. Who are we gonna get in now? I'm thinking all sorts here. Whoever's coming might not want me, might not fancy me, and so that's playing at the back of my mind. And then Keith Hill came in and got the contract as manager.
How did you initially get on with Keith Hill then? How did that conversation go about?
At the start, it was him and Dave Flitcroft. And I got on a lot more with Dave Flitcroft because he actually took time to listen and tried to get to know me. What made me tick, what didn't make me tick, what I liked in training, what I didn't like in training. It was mainly me and Dave Flitcroft. And Keith was all right at the start. So we had a game, Boxing Day. Yeah, Boxing Day. And this is where I went pear-shaped. This is why I don't really like Keith Hill and I don't respect him as a man. So Boxing Day, we had a game. Bearing in mind I'm on the bench player, or bench or started. Can't remember. We had a game, yeah? And after the game, everything's done, got a shower and whatnot. He comes into the dressing room, Dan, can I have a word with you in the office? But you know when you get called into the office, you know that you've done something wrong and he wants to speak to you about it, or I just felt a bad energy. It didn't sit right with me. The way he came in, the way he spoke, it didn't sit right with me. I said, do you know what? Something's going to happen here. So I've sat down in the office now. What's going on? What do you want to talk about? The game? Like, what do you want to talk about? There was an altercation in the players' box. I said, okay, so why am I getting called in here if there's an altercation in the players' box? Oh, your missus and my sister had an altercation. I said, yeah. What kind of altercation was this? Fist thrown, like what? What kind of altercation? No, it was an argument. So I'm saying to myself, where are we going with this? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what's that got to do with me? And then he's saying, I think you should stay at home for a bit. What? Bearing in mind, I ain't spoke to my missus at this time. I'm thinking, what are you talking about? What do you mean stay at home for a bit? I'm baffled now. So something's happened with his sister, my missus at the time, but I've got to stay at home. What's that got to do with me? So I've gone out. I left the room. I said, all right, cool. I'll speak to you tomorrow or something. So I've gone to my sister. What's going on? Like, I'm pissed off of it. To be honest, yeah, I'm pissed off of it. Like, what are you doing? Like, what? Like, this is my place of work. Like, know how to handle yourself correctly. No, but she was saying that it was her, and regardless of what's happened, I'm pissed now. So I'm sitting at home. He said he's going to ring me tomorrow. The next day comes, 28th. Yeah, 27th. What's this, 26th? Yeah, 27th. Got a call from Dave. But I thought Keith was going to ring me. So he said, yeah, the gaffer don't want you to come back into the building. I said, what are you talking about? No, let me speak to him. No, he doesn't want to speak to you. I'm saying this boneless fish. Like, you can't even talk to me as a man to say it to yourself. You have to get your henchman to tell me. No disrespect to Dave Flipcroft, yeah, because it's got nothing to do with Dave. I've got no ill will against Dave Flipcroft. But Keith Hill, he's boneless and he's spineless and he's not a man. Yeah? So he's got his henchmen to tell me, raw, don't bother coming to the building. So I'm sat at home getting paid from Boxing Day, last game. Bearing in mind my fitness is going down the pan, I'm thinking, oh my God, like, what is going on? Like, I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna have to go League One. I'm fuming. I'm gonna have to go League One. I'm saying to myself, I don't want to go League One. There's no championship that's gonna want to take me. I ain't played that much football from summer to Christmas for me to get picked up by another championship club, knowing that I've just moved from one championship club to another. Then I'm gonna go to another. It doesn't make sense. It's not gonna work. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I had so much hate for that man. He wouldn't let me come in. He wouldn't even let me train with the kids. Just said, stay at home. I was fuming. I was raging. But I had a lucky call. Charlton, top of League One. So it's gone from me not playing to going to Charlton. And I didn't even look back at Keith again after that. Didn't even look back at him.
Joined Charlton, the club that you played for as a young boy. They're top of League One. You've got a point to prove. Must have been everything for you at that moment in time. Talk to me about that period in your life.
From the age of 16 to at that time, to go to Charlton, 23, 24. I feel like back home, around my family, because I did miss my family. I miss my mum, my sisters, dad. I did miss my nan, my aunties. So I thought, oh my God, it's time for me to go back. And obviously, my partner at the time, she's from London as well. So I thought it would be nice for us to be back in London. So I kind of saw the bigger picture. But at the time, when you're sitting at home, twiddling your thumbs, you didn't know where my career was going to go. So I was grateful to Chris Powell to bring him down and sign the contract straight away. So that was good. But the whole setup at Charlton, it was good. We're going to get promoted, so I'm going to be back in the champ, give it 6 months. Took a pay cut, as you do when you're going drop in the league, but it was worth it. It was worth it. It was so worth it. So it was good. It was good. It was a good transition from moving from Sheffield all the way to London. So yeah, it was good stuff.
Is Chris Powell in charge?
Yeah, it was Chris Powell and Alex Dyer.
How did you get on well? How did you get on with Chris initially?
Like a house on fire, man. Obviously, we've like growing up. Obviously, when I was playing for Charlton, when I was a schoolboy, he was at Charlton. So I was, him, Jason Newell, and a couple others. End up watching him, playing against him. Now I'm playing for him. So I've had all three stages with Chris. So it was good, and yeah, he was a good man. He was a good man, down to earth, humble. He had a good work ethic. He wanted to go places. You can see that he wanted to go places. But yeah, Mr. Charlton.
You guys won the division that year. Big achievement. It must feel great to have been a part of history from Charlton's point of view.
Yeah, it was. Obviously going there. It was good. It was good for me. It was good for me to go there because it kind of humbled me, to be honest, because I went down, but when I was doing so good, the squad wasn't rotating much. They had the same players. Yam Kermager, Bradley Rat Phillips. They were the two main strikers. Bradley got so much goals that year. To drop him would be silly for me. But like I said, as long as the team's doing well and I've got an involvement in it, I didn't mind sitting on the bench. Obviously, when I've just come in, sometimes you've got to sit back and say, you know what? Hold my hands up. Them lot are doing their stuff. Cool. I've come here knowing that was going to happen and I wasn't going to play as much, but I want to be a part of something and build. So I wasn't just looking for here and now when I went to Charlton. Everything was going right for me. Back at home, we're in a good position. We're going to win something. I'm going to have a trophy. I'm going to have a medal at the end of it. It was good. And like the energy, it was wicked. It was wicked. So we ended up getting promoted. And then the owner said, look, yo, let's go Vegas.
What's Vegas like?
I didn't go. Like I said, I don't turn up to things. Do you know how mad it is, yeah? I didn't go.
That's mad.
I didn't go. Like everything was paid for. I didn't go. I turned up to the airport, yeah? And God's my witness. I turned up to the airport. I sat in the car looking. I could see the players walking in with their bags and suitcases. I said, turn around. I don't want to go. Turn around. I'm not going. Didn't go Vegas. Didn't go.
What made you turn around and not go Vegas?
One, I didn't feel like I deserved to go Vegas because I wasn't there for the whole year. Two, the party life's not really my scene. It's not for me. It's not for me. I never really. I don't mind an odd team night out, but going away and doing it is two different things. I probably got nervous and stage fright, and I just said, you know what, I'm not going. Yeah. I just didn't go. I literally started at the airport, saw the place going. I said, you know what, now turn back around. I don't want to go. Don't want to go. I had my stuff packed, everything. Last minute, didn't want to go.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't have gone either. You wouldn't have liked it. It's not a bit of you. No, definitely.
I'm just a weird character. Do you know what I mean? I'm a weird character. I just didn't go.
Yeah, you made the right call. Talk to me about the summer then. You're back in the championship.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the next season.
The next season was a roller coaster. I had my good times and I had my bad times. Like when I was playing, everything was going well for me. Hamstring injury. Broke down about 3 times that season. 3 times it broke down. It was horrible. At the other clubs, I didn't really have injury problems like that. But when I went to Charlton, I had a lot of hamstring issues. That one season, I still scored quite a few goals that season. I scored a couple good goals. I had good games. And my hamstring, every time it would getting good and I was scoring. Next game, that one game, I scored a screamer against Derby County. Buzzing, loving football. Next thing you know, pop, hamstring gone. Listen, I ain't gonna lie, I cried. I walked off crying. I was so frustrated, like it was going so good. I walked off crying. There's a I think there's a picture. I think it was Bradley Rat-Phillips that hugged me. I said, don't worry about it. It's cool. Don't worry about it. It's cool, bro. I cried. I broke down and I cried. Don't care. My emotion came out in front of everyone. I didn't care. The frustration was so real. It was so annoying. It was annoying. And it all happened in the first half. So I scored the goal of my life. And then my hamstring just goes. Straight after that, about 10, 15 minutes after that, gone. So it's like, and that was the story of my life when I came that season in Charlton.
Is it frustrating when a hamstring, something like, it's not a very serious injury, but it's a niggling injury? So it's constantly going to keep you off of your peak performance. It's constantly going to keep you on the treatment table.
Yeah, like there's other injuries that you could kind of get away with. Like sometimes you groin, you can get away with a little tight groin. But when you've pulled your hamstring or you've torn your hamstring, you cannot run. You can't coast. And I was a quick player. I was fiery. I was electric, and I had 5 fast twitch fibers that will just go. I was a speedy player, and speedy players know that coming with that you got to maintain your hamstrings, which I did, but it still broke down. It still managed to play up. It still done it.
Would you put them reasons down to wear and tear, or just the fact of being unlucky, the fact that the way your body moved, mechanisms of the pitch on that day? Would you put it down to?
So when I had the hamstring problem, in the summer it was okay. In the winter, that's when I started getting niggles. So I think the longer the season went on, the pitches get heavier because of the rain, the weather, cold. It all plays an effect. So I had my hamstrings in the winter. So I'll say it was down to the pitches and the weather that had a major impact on my body, on my hamstrings particularly. And that's where I feel like if I didn't have those injuries, I still think I would have been playing today. But after that, it was just frustrating for me, like trying to get back into fitness. Because remember, when you're out for 6-7 weeks, you don't realize how much fitness you actually lose within that period. So breaking down, then you having to run, then you're getting back, then it will break down once I get to the run and sprinting part of the recovery. Then that will take you back because you've torn it a little bit more than what it was before. Then that sets you back another 6 weeks. It was so frustrating for me. Like those days, I didn't want to get out of bed. Like you're there before everybody else, so you're there at 8:30, 9 o'clock on the treatment bed. You don't leave until after all the players have left, so you're leaving about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Like, and that every day, even on your days off, you have to come in and get treatment. It was the worst part of my footballing career. I'll say at Charlton that year. It was the worst. It was the worst part, but it had its glory moments because I scored some special goals there, and I've had good games there. It was just like the injury part of it, like Danny Haynes, he's injured again, and it was depressing. It got me down.
I can imagine. Charlton's been such in your thoughts and aspirations from a young child.
From a kid.
To get a chance to do that, and then to be really doing well and flying and have that taken away from you, must play on your mental.
Yeah.
Must cause a lot of mental anguish is what I'm getting at.
And at that time, obviously, I had signed a 1.5-year contract. So I done a half a year in the League One and then the whole year through Champ. Chris Powell said he was going to give me a contract. For whatever reason, the board or Tony Jimenez, I didn't end up getting a contract. I don't hold no ill will about them. It's a bit disappointing, that's all. But when that happened, it's like, right, where do I go where do I go now? Like, it's frustrating. I can't explain it. It mind boggles me to today. It's just mad. It is mad.
I guess it's difficult when your contract expires somewhere that you really like and you're really comfortable at.
Yeah.
It's not many other jobs where that happens in such a short time span where you can feel.
No, and you know what the funny thing is? Charlton's the only club that's released me twice up until that point. No other clubs released me. They sold me, but Charlton is the only club that's released me that had fun at twice. So, yeah, you're not getting a contract, right? I'm getting released then, innit? So I got released as a kid and I got released as an adult. And I thought, oh my God. And then back up north I went, boy.
Was it more scary being released the second time as an adult, having had them injury problems? Are you now worrying about where you're going to be plying your trade next? Are these thoughts that are running through your mind?
No, because after the season was finished, yeah, I was still looking at getting a house in London still, because Chris Powell told me he was going to get a contract. Like, just hang tight. You're going to get your contract. You're going to get your contract. And finally, I got told I wasn't going to get a contract. So I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? That's when the panic started, because like, we're halfway through summer. My agent hasn't rang anywhere. Where am I going to go? Everyone's already got their players. Now, the only possible place that can probably be looking is League One. Everyone's got their players. All the Championship players have got their players early doors. It's just the pickings of the bunch, innit, really. And I ended up going to Notts County.
How did you find Notts County initially? How did you settle there?
I was familiar with the manager, Chris Cormier. Very familiar with him because he was a coach at Ipswich. He's got a lot of good connections back in Ipswich. So I've worked with him and I liked his training regime. Like, he was a striker. His training sessions was always on point. Always on point. Stayed out, done extras. I always doing that with him at Ipswich. But bearing in mind, that was, near enough 6 years ago before I was at Ipswich. So I'm meeting him as a manager now. Didn't think anything of it at the time. All right, cool, give him a chance. Put me on some decent money. I thought, you know what? Let me give this a go. Maybe I can get over double figures and maybe go to the Championship again. That was in my mind. So sometimes you got to take 2 steps to go 3 steps forward.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, let's do this. And I kind of went for the challenge to go back up north.
The manager initially at Notts County, is it different when you know a manager from their playing career as to now them being in charge, so they're not so much one of the lads anymore?
Yeah, I had that experience with Jim Major, and obviously playing with Jim and managing it's a hard. I know it can be hard, isn't it? With the transition where you got to be a manager now, and you got to kind of not distance yourself from your players, but distance yourself from your players because you're in a different role now. You got different responsibilities. You got different outlook on things. So I kind of knew what it was kind of going to be, but I didn't know it was going to be that bad. Put it that way.
Good.
Yeah.
What, like in terms of what, being harsh with the players, in terms of his communication?
I just think he didn't know how to speak to people.
Yeah.
Which then led me to act a bit not out of character, but I didn't hold my mouth, put it that way, when it comes to Chris, because of certain things he'd done and said in front of the squad. So initially, when I first moved up there, it was with good intentions, and then he just went a bit left.
So there was a little bit of a personality clash maybe at times between maybe yourself and him, or him and
yeah, and I'm older now. You can't talk to me like I'm a kid because I'm not a child now. I'm not a teenager no more. So you can't. There's certain things you think you could have said back then, but now you can't say it because I'm a father now. Like you can't then talk to me like I'm a piece of shit, or you can't talk to me like you can say certain things and get away with it because I'm going to call you out on it.
After the 2 seasons there, then, how did it come to a head that you were going to be moving on? How did that conversation play out?
What with Chris?
Yeah.
Chris was only there for about a year. He was there for a year, and then I went on loan to. I think I went on loan to Hibs. But before I left to go with Hibs, I was disrespectful to Chris.
Really?
Yeah. And I was bang. I say bang out of order. I'm only saying it now because I would handle situations differently. But at the time, I thought that's what I had to say to get what I want off my chest, because there was a meeting. We went to a game. It was in a hotel, and we all come down. Before the game, right? He's gonna name the squad. This is the squad. And tell people's roles. So we've got in this meeting. We've got in this meeting. Had a after lunch. Before we get on the bus, it was about 1:10 because we normally get to the stadium about 1:30. Get ready, warm up and whatnot. So we're in the hotel, about 1:10, 1 o'clock. In the meeting room, boardroom. He's whipped over the paper. To the team sheet. I'm on the team sheet. Haynes, you need to do more. I brought you in this club to do more. Like, you're not giving us anything. Bearing in mind, he's put me up front by myself when I'm back to goal. I've never been a number 9. Never been that player. If you know me, you know I'm good at running at players. I'm running in channels. He wanted me to be up front. We had ballers in the midfield. We had Andre Boucard. Like, we had a selection. We had Andre Boucard. We had Jamal Campbell-Rice, Jack Grealish, Callum McGregor. Like, we had ballers. And them, man, they like to play feet. I'm not that person. Stick me out on the wide, give it to my feet. I'll run at players, get across in. You've got me with my back to goal now. You're not utilising me the way you should. That's one. So we're in this meeting. He's digging me out. You're the highest paid player in this club. You should be doing more. Like, what did I bring you in there for? Like, he proper went in on me. I'm thinking, hold on a minute. Whoa, is this a dig out Danny meeting type thing? So I'm thinking to myself, is it me? Like, this ain't no team meeting. This ain't about the game. This is about me. You could have brought me into the thing to myself. So I said, do you know what? I'm going to take that. I'm going to buy it. I'll bit my tongue. But I'm waiting for the next thing for him to say to me. After the game, didn't say nothing. Training session come now. He said something that I didn't agree with, and I challenged him on it. And he said something to me that was cheeky. And I called him a dickhead. I said, shut up, dickhead. You're a prick. Like, proper, called him out. I said, you can't talk to me like that. You're a dickhead. Jamal Campbell-Rice has come over and like, Dan, you can't say that. I said, Jammer, fuck that. I said, fuck that. He said, dickhead, you can't chat to me like that. You got mad. Yo, everyone stopped that. The training session stopped. Everyone stopped silent. Like, bro, did Danny really just say that? I said, yeah, he comes on to me, what did you say? I said, you're a dickhead. I said it in his face, you're a dickhead. Didn't say nothing. Crumbled. Absolute crumbled. But I had enough. Like, you can't talk to me like that in front of people. I don't mind if you bring me aside and say, you know what, Dan? Like, fix up. Like, talk to me like a man. Don't do it in front of a crowd. You shouldn't do that. Knowing me, I'm a fiery character. So there's ways, this is what I mean about man management. You need to know your players. You can't talk to some people the how you feel you can talk to them. It doesn't work like that, especially with someone like me anyway. So I said, you're a prick. You can't chat to me like that. A couple of days later or a week later, you got the sack.
feel that you contributed to him getting the sack, being you were one of the most highest, or you was the highest paid player at the club at the time?
I don't know if I contributed in getting the sack because we had a couple of bad results. We was playing good football though. We was playing some good football, but I think the results mainly got in the sack. But the board definitely heard about that altercation that we had. Yeah.
Who came in after he left? Who was the next?
Sean Derry. He used to play for QPR centre midfielder.
How'd you get on with him?
Do you know what? He was a nice guy, man. He was a nice guy. But then last game of the season, I was on loan to Hibs and I got an ankle injury. Another injury last game of the season. So I was in over the summer, again in knots. And it was annoying. It was so annoying. And then I was playing Castle again with Sean. But I was doing everything I should have been, making myself fit. But I think they wanted to just get me off the wage bill, to be honest. They wanted me to get on the wage bill. So I came back in the summer, stayed there till Christmas. And then they offered me a payout come just before Christmas.
Is it
so
is it quite disappointing as a player, or are you happy when it hasn't worked out for you at a club and you get a payout? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? How do you look at it?
It depends. Yeah, like I was about to say. Yeah, you just hit the nail on the head. Like, it all depends on how people look at it. For me, I was kind of disappointed that you offered me a payout because you didn't really give me a chance to kind of redeem myself, or you didn't give me a chance to prove to you that I can be the player that I know I can be. So for me, it was kind of disappointing because I didn't get to prove you wrong. But at the same time, I looked at it like, well, in order for him to get his own players in January, he needed to free up the wage bill. So that's what he done. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to stay somewhere where I'm not wanted or I don't feel wanted. For you to offer me a payout, you don't want me here. There's alternative motive. Like, you want players in and you want me off the wage bill. Cool. That's fine. No hard feelings. In my head, I was saying, I'm going to come back and bite you on the ass, but I didn't manage to do that. But life goes on.
What were your options when you left? What were the choices you were faced with?
I didn't have any options, you know. Like, when I got paid up from there, me and my agent fell out. So in my mind, I was thinking, you know what? Let me go to Charlton. Like, my friend was at Charlton. He kind of put my name forward for Charlton, and ended up going to Charlton for the last 6 months at Charlton. So it was kind of a word of mouth. Like, my good friend, like, I'm friends with to this day, Craig Brown Barrett. Like, if it weren't for him, I don't think I would have got back into football, to be honest, because at that point, I just had enough. Obviously, with the Chris Cormier situation and then paying me up, my mind wasn't in football. From when I left Charlton, I don't think my mind was ever in football. I don't think it was. And it was on. My mind was on retiring. What am I going to do after when I'm retiring? And that's where my head was at. So anything I'd done after that, it was pure. It was just coasting. I was coasting after then.
Do you regret that now that you coasted at those times after the Charlton setback for the second time? Is that something that haunts you, the fact that you didn't apply yourself as much as you possibly could have?
To be honest, yeah, it was a mixture of frustration and disappointment. One being the injuries that I had always came at a vital time, and two, either people left or people came in and they wanted to bring their own mix to the squad. So I was always kind of left with a short. straw, regardless. But the reason why I did kind of coast is because all these things added up to me falling out of love with football. Like, the Mark Robbins bringing me there for 6 months, great 6 months, and then him going. And that was disappointment that he was going, because you're the one who brought me in, and you're the one who brought me here. You're the one that told me, yeah, we're going to do this, that, X, Y, Z. And then that dickhead comes in. That thing happens in the players' box. Then I get people that's spineless, that ain't got no balls. And then I've gone to Charlton, loved Charlton, got promised I was going to get a contract, didn't end up getting a contract, disappointment. Then going to Notts County, this guy, thinking this guy was going to be all right and I can work well with him. He turned out to be a knob as well. It is one of those things. But do I regret me coasting? A slight bit of me says yeah. But if you're dealt with what I'm dealt with at a young age, 24, 25, it will get a lot of people down. That's why David Bentley retired at such a young age. He retired at 26, 27, because he had enough of the game. And I think I was at that point as well.
Are you preparing for life after football at this time? Are you taking your coaching badges? Are you investing your hard-earned money into something that's going to bring you financial gain and mental satisfaction in the future? How did you?
Yeah, of course. I'm always
plan for what was going to go on.
I was always thinking ahead. I knew football weren't going to be. I was always thinking ahead. I always had things put in place. Always knew what I was going to do. It might not be what I wanted right then and now, but I knew I'd be okay. I knew I'd be all right. I knew that there was going to be a time where I had to cut down my outgoings, cut out, obviously, the cars, come down. They downgraded on my cars, jewelry, sold some jewelry, all that type of stuff. Like, I had to kind of start basic so I can understand what it feels like to be in the real world. Because once you ain't got football money no more, it's then, all right, cool, this is what I'm going to do, X, Y, Z. And I just kind of set myself goals. It was hard at start. Don't get me wrong, that obviously from going from $3,500 a week, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a week, to then going to that basics now. I had to get things in order for when that time decides to say, look, you know what, football's enough. So I had other things set up. So I got my railway engineering, safety critical. I've done all of that stuff. So I didn't do the coaching badges because the coaching thing ain't for me. I can't do it. It's not in my blood. It's not in my DNA. Some people say, why don't you do your coach? Everyone says it to me. Why do you do your coaching badges? You should be good at doing a coach, like coaching young kids. That's just not me. So didn't do my coaching badges. So I just went on the railway and done the safety critical engineering.
Short spells at Ebbfleet and Cray Wanderers. Are you going around like a non-league hitman at this stage? Are you playing and plying your trade at that sort of level?
Basically, I literally done that for fun. Like Cheltenham, it didn't really work out at Cheltenham because Gary Johnson was the manager at the time, and his personality kind of changed towards me. So didn't really get along there. But with Gary Johnson, you kind of knew where you stood because you didn't really beat around the bush. So he was cool. Like we had a mutual respect. So when I went down to Ebbsfleet, simply to love football again. Back home, back in London, that was in Kent. Just to love London again and love football again. So that was good. That was like trained three times a week. And you played on a Saturday. That was good. On a decent little wage down there. Then I was there for about a year and a bit. Then I went to Cray Wanderers. And do you know what? For a long time, other than Charlton, from Charlton till then when I went to Cray Wanderers, that's why I actually found football. I love football again. I loved it. Like, scored 30 odd something goals that year. It was a good year, and I said after that, yeah, I can't beat this. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna call it a day after that.
Is it tough for a footballer to agree to themselves that they've had enough, they can't do anymore, they're gonna call it a day? How did you handle it personally? How did you come to terms with it yourself? The fact that your career had finished, that you have to accept it is what it is.
I was all right. I knew football was not. I wasn't delusional and thought football was going to last forever and I was going to get that money all my life. I knew that wasn't going to be. But I do miss some parts of it. But if you ask me like a generic question, what do you miss football? I say yes. But the side that I don't miss is all the shit that I've been through, the change of managers, the injuries. They're the things that I don't miss. They're the things, like the banter in the change room, that was always flying. They're the things I miss.
In your life and in your career in football, you've made some really good money. Like all footballers, when you stop having that earning capacity, money becomes more valuable. Are there times now you look back on your past spending or spending habits or maybe generous gifts you've given to family or friends and think, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I could have done with that something better with that money or investment. They things.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. There's always stuff that you wish you didn't do when you was younger, but I had a blast. You know what I mean? That it was a short career, innit? Football's a short career, so when you get that money, enjoy it. Obviously, make right choices, like buy your houses and that, which I've done. So it's not a case of just blew anything, I ain't got nothing to show for it. But at the same time, you gotta enjoy it. What's the point of earning all that money? You have to enjoy it, but be sensible at the same time. You gotta be sensible at the same time. But there is a lot of things that are done with my money that I thought, you know what, if I had that right now, that could help me. Do you know what I mean? So like spending money on 2 cars, like I calculated it the other day. Me and my friend Craig was sitting there the other day. I was thinking, how much do you think he spent on cars? And I think it was well over 150 grand on cars. Easy. It was easy. And that's for some cars. That's including insurance, by the way, just throwing it out there. Like, it was stupid. But it was fun. At the time, it was fun.
Was you a player you'd ask for bizarre things in your contract, like contract negotiations? Was there anything in particular that you would ask for when you moved clubs?
No. Do you know what? There's so many things that I know now that I didn't put in my contract. There's loads of things. I think for me, when you come from a place where you didn't have that much money, any good, decent amount of money that you had, you couldn't really argue with. So when it comes to negotiation time, I have a little argument with the negotiations, but I didn't put extra things added in my contract because I was never greedy. I was never one to push my luck. Same with my dad and stuff, obviously. Knowing that there's 3 kids in the house, my dad's got to make sure we understood that concept that money doesn't really buy real happiness because we made do. So any money that I was given, I was grateful for. So I wouldn't ask for bizarre things that I know, right, you're taking a piss. No, I wasn't really that guy. So any money that I got, I thought, right, that's all right. That's a good contract, Let me just take that before they decide to take it back. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I wasn't greedy or nothing like that. I wasn't horrible. I wasn't horribly greedy. I know you hear stories of players saying, nah, they want this much. Nah, I never really had. We had smooth negotiations. It was very, very smooth, especially for the clubs anyway.
You've come from humble beginnings. You obviously spend time with a lot of people outside football, so that probably has helped your grounding over the years. Have you come across fellow professionals that haven't got that grounding, that are sort of living in their own bubble on a different planet, so to speak?
Yeah, but how can I put it? There's loads of players like that. There's loads. I've come across some real characters, some real dickheads, but they can only do that around people that they feel they can get away with doing it around. Me, you couldn't, I don't think you could have got away with being like that around me. You couldn't have. No. You couldn't try to throw something in my face and me not retaliate. So when it comes to things like that, I don't take nonsense for. I don't like that.
Have you ever clashed with any teammates, any members of your own team over the years that you've been in with that you don't get on with? It's like any job, there's going to be people you talk to, people you don't talk to. Have you ever had any sort of personal clashes with teammates at clubs?
Yeah, I've had me and Billy Clark, when we was at Ipswich together, we clashed like cat and mouse. Like me and him was literally cat and mouse. Like he would smash me in training. I'll go and smash him in training. We'll size up. There was one incident where I've smashed Billy, yeah. So he smashed up. He's got so pissed off. You know them poles that he stick into the ground? He's picked up one of them and gone for me with it. But I've stood there, but everyone's breaking him up. Like he was pretty much like me, like very fiery, don't take no bullshit. But we clashed. But you see, to this day, like we look at Billy Clark and we just laugh about it. It's just banter, innit? Like it is what it is. But as for direct hate for any other players that I play with, nah, I don't really hate anybody. I don't really hate anyone. Never really clashed with anyone. I think I was hot-headed because I would go for somebody if they tried to. So I don't think I don't know. But I tend to get along with quite a lot of people.
If you could change one decision you made in your career or one decision you didn't make that affected your career, the trajectory of your career or your life, what would that decision be?
Bloody hell, that's a hard question. There's a lot of things. I think not pursuing going Newcastle when I had the chance.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was a deal that was ready for me to do, and I didn't go.
Was that during your time at Ipswich?
Yeah, that was at Ipswich. That I should have been more what's the word? Persistent with it. I should have stuck to my guns, but I was easily led by my representatives at the time around me. So I kind of signed another deal at Ipswich, which maybe if I stuck it out a little bit longer, who knows what would have happened. But I had a lot of clubs sniffing around me at the time. I think I should have just stuck to my guns a little bit more, not rushed to put pen to paper.
You've had a fantastic career. You've had some massive moments. If you could relive one day on Groundhog Day repeat for the rest of your life from your footballing career, what day would that be? What moment would that be?
I think the Ipswich fans are going to know this one, and I think you're going to know this one. If I could repeat any day, it will be the brace. The brace for the rest of my life, to be honest. Like coming on off the bench, 1-1, last 15 minutes of the game, come on and score 2. Once live on Sky as well, in front of your family. Now I know your family and friends are watching the game. After the game, that day was amazing. That is one of the best days in my footballing career. Like, I loved it. There's a lot of days though. There's a lot of days. My goal against Derby at Charlton, goal against Leicester at Charlton, playing for England, Turkey, Egypt, Poland, Netherlands. Bloody hell. Signing my first professional contract with Joe Rowe. Bloody hell. There's so many days. Joe Rowe, Dave Sheepshank. Remember like it was yesterday? I had some rascal leather jacket on. Looking at my club back in the day, it was a mess. I was a mess. Like, if you ever saw some of the stuff I was wearing, it was ridiculous. I didn't really have swag then still, I ain't gonna lie.
How are you filling your times during the lockdown? What are you doing with your time? What's going on in your life presently?
What's going on in my life presently? Well, there's a few things that I'm trying to do at the moment. I'm working with an agency at the moment, but I'm not going to reveal until it's concrete. Footballing agency to represent players. I've got that lined up at the moment. I'm also doing my railway engineering at the moment. Also, there's so much stuff that I'm doing at the moment and trying to get my mind on things. I've always been, since lockdown, lockdown hasn't really affected me because obviously I'm a key worker, and I'm always finding out different ways to make money. So, do you know what I mean? So I'm always on the go. My mind's always thinking. My kids, I've got my children a lot. So I'm always busy. I'm very busy. I don't really have that much time to myself, but it's all right. Lockdown really hasn't affected me at all, really.
Pleasure to talk to you a little bit about your career. I know the internet connection's a little bit unstable at the moment, but it's been a great pleasure to go over your journey and your career with you. And thank you ever so much for sharing it with me, mate.
No, that's all right, James, man. Anytime. That's cool, man. Like I said, I see a couple of your videos which caught my eye before you even messaged me. So yeah, man, you did some good stuff there, bro.
I appreciate it, man. It makes it a little bit easier when someone's watched one or two of my videos. They kind of expect my crap patter and whatever else is going to come along. So I appreciate you.
No, your Leon Knight one, that was a one still. I ain't gonna lie. Wow. Leon's a character still.
Leon Knight is a character.
Yeah. I'm a big bro Marlon King. That's big bro right there.
I'll give Leon Knight and Marlon King the most respect as well for coming on the channel, giving us a bit of their time. Yeah, I appreciate it. But listen, thank you so much, Danny, for coming on. And
no, that's cool, James, man.
Hopefully we get to catch up again in the future real soon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've got the contact now, so there's no reason for why we can't meet up after here.
I love that. Thanks for your time today,
James. Yeah.
Look forward to catching
all right, bro. You take care of yourself, all right? Keep up with the work.
Bro. I really